When authorities found Jimmy the Hammer Massaro's body in the trunk of this car, they had few leads. Like most suspected mob hits, no one was talking. It looked as though the case would go unsolved. But by 1975, the Monroe County Sheriff's Department, now led by former police chief Bill Lombard, had built a case. Chief of Detectives Bill Mahoney was the catalyst. In 1976, with the aid of mobster-turned-informant Ange Monachino, Rochester's reigning crime family was sent to prison for the killing. Boss Red Rosati, advisor Rini Picaretto, underboss Sam Gingello, capo Tom Murata, and soldier Eugene DeFrancesco. At the time, it was considered one of the biggest mob convictions in the country. But 18 months later, it all unraveled, turning into one of the biggest law enforcement scandals in the war on organized crime.
The circumstances have now been explained to me by Chief Mahoney, who will be served with departmental charges and suspended from duty effective this date.
Sheriff Lombard had to hold back tears as allegations of fabricating evidence in the case came to light. 5 deputies would be indicted. Mahoney would spend 4 months behind bars, and the mobsters went free.
He is now released. He is out. The end of an ordeal is over.
Sam Gingello's lawyer reveled in the media parade that surrounded one of the most amazing stories in Rochester's history.
There's embarrassment because people don't separate the Sheriff's Department from the state police, from Brockport Police to Rochester Police, the police.
By 1977, Rochester Police Lieutenant Lou Campanozzi was working in the homicide unit. He had little experience dealing with mob violence, but that would change in a hurry. When Rochester's ruling mob faction went to prison, they left business in the hands of associates who were told to take care of the prisoners' families. By all accounts, that didn't happen. And when the leaders got out of jail, the group left in charge didn't want to leave. The two factions became known as the A-Team, led by Rosati and Gingello, and the B-Team, headed by insurgent Tom DiDio. The labels were established by police intelligence detectives who had a hard time figuring out who was on each side.
You try to, well, who's he with? Well, he's over here. Okay, let's do it this way. This is A-Team, this is B-Team. And he started, so after that, just got to be the A-Team, B-Team.
The first strikes in the Alphabet Wars came from the B-Team, who repeatedly tried to kill Gingello.
He was well-liked by his associates, and he was, I would say, the glue that held a lot of the group together.
In one attempt, B-Team assassins placed a bomb in a snowbank outside the Blue Gardenia restaurant in Irondequoit. The blast knocked Sammy G off his feet, but that was it. Several more attempts were made with no success until the morning of April 23rd, 1978.
And it was the type of scene you just stood back and said, now what? Gingello was driving.
Another person in the front seat by the name of Tommy Taylor. He's at one of the area hospitals being treated. I understand he has a broken foot. And a third person, Thomas Torpy, was in the back seat.
Gingello died at the hospital, and in a final act gave the middle finger to an officer questioning him about the car bomb.
The question that remains is whether his murder triggered the end or the beginning of gang warfare in Rochester.
Mob violence would continue for 5 years. B-Team members set off bombs all over the city, hitting A-Team gambling joints. The A-Team struck back, killing B-Team leader Tom DiDio at the Exit 45 Motel in Victor in July 1978. B-Team members Ross Chirico and Rodney Starkweather were next, narrowly escaping death in 2 separate shootings in Greece. The real hit to the B-Team came in court, though. In January 1980, 7 members were convicted on racketeering charges, with Starkweather testifying against his fellow B-Teamers.
Just before the jury came in, 53-year-old defendant Rosario Chirico suffered what appeared to be a heart attack, blacking out on the floor.
With the B-Team in jail, things quieted down for a while, but roared back to life in 1981.
Police immediately began to treat the shooting as a potential organized crime hit.
Teamsters official and A-Team backer John Fiorino was shot in the back of the head outside the Blue Gardenia. An Irondequoit policeman, who happened to be driving by at the time, chased the suspects, catching the driver, Louis DiGiulio. The suspected assassin got away, but not for long.
So they grabbed the guy and they threw him up against the wall or something like that. I'm not sure. Tell him to freeze, and that's when they freeze, buddy. You don't spread them.
The guy turned out to be mob enforcer John Mad Dog Sullivan, who was wanted in several murders stretching from Rochester to New York City. He was convicted of the Fiorino hit in 1982. Investigators would later learn the killing was ordered by a newcomer to the Alphabet Wars, the C-Team, led by former Gingello allies Tom Taylor and Tom Torpy. The A-Team, feeling there were too many teams, ordered hits on the faction, which were carried out in Rochester and Gates in 1982 and 1983. The swan song for Rochester's mob wars came in August of '83, when A-Team Capo Tom Murata was shot outside an Irondequoit apartment house. He survived, but the end was near. With the help from yet another informant, Tony Oliveri, prosecutors put the A-Team away for good in 1984. C-Team leaders Torpy and Taylor went down in 1985, effectively ending a war triggered by the Massaro hit 12 years prior.
To me, it was one of the most effective investigations of the Mafia in the country. There was a dedication to a common cause. I can't attribute to any specific situation other than just the right group of people who had really the right attitude is what made the difference.